Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name, and welcome to the Zaharoff NFC Passport Discovery Series. What is this about? Well, it's a chance for you and me to discover these beautiful fragrances across the world in real time. There's two ways to enjoy this production. One, just keep watching and enjoy it as a normal review. I'm going to do my best to explain how these fragrances perform, and now leave it up to your imagination to see what sort of scent profiles they will be. The alternative, and this is what I would recommend, is jump on the Zaharoff website, click here, go here, and order your own Zaharoff NFC Passport. When that arrives, boot back to this production, and then you and I can enjoy fragrances together in real time, because I will be talking to you as we spray. I will be encouraging you to spray different things on card or on skin. I would encourage you to talk back to me. I know that I can't hear you, but it makes it an engaging moment in time as we share fragrances together. Now, what is the Zaharoff NFC Passport? Well, this is something that George and I built over a 12-month period. The idea is that there are 5 fragrances that I actually selected myself. George gave me access to his full library, said choose whatever you want. In it, there is this beautiful travel atomizer, which becomes your 5th fragrance. You can now unscrew this, take it out, swap it around. And the idea is that this becomes your travel buddy. George knows that I love traveling. And the idea was to, I guess, accentuate the sense of travel, the ability to use different fragrances for different occasions. This took quite a bit of time on my behalf to select, because I wanted to create a fragrance lineup that covered across the wheel. I always say that a beautiful floral fragrance on a man is fantastic. There are 3 here that I'd like to recommend. I also wanted to make sure that women who might be interested in Zaharoff can also participate. There are 4 here that you can also enjoy. And the last part is reach and use. This was important to me. I don't have favorites. And the idea is that I measure everything between my reach and use. Reach means something that I'm not thinking, I need to go, I need to grab a fragrance, and I just reach for something. These 5 are in constant rotation. And then use. This is now something that is more thought through. I need it for a special occasion. I need to go to a meeting or an event, and I want to wear a fragrance that commands attention and signifies who I am. These 5 here are divine. Now the question is, who is George Zaharoff? For those who have been in FragCom, you may have heard his name. The best thing to do is to look at this production here. I met him in 2022. I had an opportunity to create a ticketed event, and this gave us all an opportunity to discover who George was and then to understand how he curated his fragrances up until that time. There was probably 5 in his collection. Currently, there is 22 fragrances, an impressive feat in the space of 4 years. Now, he has connected with a perfumer called Claude. And there's an awesome story. Again, watch this production. I'm not going to steal his thunder. George always talks about how the universe moves and guides us. Reconnecting with Claude after many years apart is an awesome story, and Claude has been instrumental in creating all these fragrances here. As a brief backstory, George Zaharoff started within the fashion industry. As a 21-year-old, he created a fashion brand. Then in 2001, all of that unraveled, and unfortunately, he lost it all. It wasn't until 2018 when he reconnected with Claude and released PERFUME. This was a fragrance that he originally had back in 1999. And that then began this new venture focusing on fragrances. Now, regardless of many things that have been said about George, this is what I say about him, is that he gives you so much of his time, his energy, and when you are in conversation with him, it's like nobody else exists. I've been in situations at a party where there are multiple people there, but if he's talking to you, then nobody else matters. I've been to other parties and other events where I'm speaking to somebody and they're looking at me, but at the same time, their eyes are wandering around. Who is cooler than this guy here, because I want to go somewhere else? You don't get that from George. I've seen multiple times on different reviews and different influencers across YouTube who speak about George as if he is their personal friend. And it's not just one individual, these are multiple individuals all sharing the same thing. It's quite a unique, for me, that's his superpower. Now, if you happen to have your Zaharoff passport in front of you, I would recommend that we do the fragrances in this particular order. First one will be Bloom, then it will be Signature Rosé, followed by AURUM. Then we're going to do Signature Black Rose HALFETI, and the final one will be PERFUME Extrême. Extrême. Let's say it like the French say it. I'd love you to spray either on skin or on card, whatever you feel more comfortable with, Bloom. I'm wearing, it's my fragrance of choice for today. I am going to spray on card. And now, ladies, what's your thoughts as you smell this? Succulent, white florals. I'm going to say easy for a woman to wear. Boys, what are your thoughts though? Are you thinking to yourself, oh, hang on a second, this one I can't wear? You're getting a very indolic, jasmine, white floral element to it. Boys, this is my recommendation. If you did spray it on card, I would now recommend put it on skin. You get some fragrances with floral elements that are genuinely feminine leaning. They're designed that way. And those ones there, I agree. Let the ladies have them. In a scenario like this, built by George, who very much is about creating a perfume wardrobe that will suit a man really nicely, this has been created with you in mind. A woman, as I mentioned, you can easily wear this, but as a man, now trust that George has created something that is well balanced that a man can comfortably wear. On first spray, when I first discovered this, it was an instant win. What you're getting on that opening is this wonderful jasmine, indolic, almost magnolia heaviness of this white floral. It then goes into this beautiful orange blossom, honeysuckle richness. The fragrance is absolutely gorgeous. On card, it is a little bit one-dimensional. You're getting a lot of that indole white floral. But as I said, boys, put it on skin. Just put a little spray on, see how it works for you. You're gonna find that as it works with your own skin chemistry, with your own musk, you're gonna get much more of a deeper sense of the notes that are in the base, and they create a bit more of a masculine feel to it. Ladies, I'd love you to spray too. You're gonna find that for you girls, the indole, those white florals are going to be quite sublime, but with now a unique twist because of these more deeper notes in the base. The fragrance does this beautiful dance as it opens and then as it moves through. It does start with, think sunshine, and it has this wonderful radiant white floral element to it. As I mentioned, it does have this sort of jasmine, this magnolia burst of like a spring morning essentially. As it moves through, it does go to a succulent orange blossom. I love the scent of orange blossom because it has this balance between the orange, the fruity juiciness, but also that white floral piece. And I find that as it begins to dry down, it does go into this wonderful orange blossom place. When it finally dries, it goes to jasmine incense. There are incense notes in the base, and I find that those are now the more resinous, the more ambery notes begin to push forward, pull back on that white floral, so that as a man, maybe at the start you may feel a little bit uncomfortable, but as it dries down into that base, you're getting, it's going to a place that you're a lot more familiar with. Ladies, the opposite happens to you. You start in a place where you think, oh yeah, I know this, I'm very comfortable with this, but then as it dries down, it does go into those more ambery tones. And I'd love to challenge anybody out there who may feel there's a better fragrance than Bloom when it comes to that wonderful white floral piece with that beautiful incense on it to dry down. If you had a chance to spray it on card or on skin, I'd love to get your thoughts. On the card, I am still in that very white floral, think jasmine. Actually, the best way to describe it. Late at night, you're going out for a walk, there's a beautiful jasmine plant, and that very heavy headiness of that jasmine, that indole, you can almost like cut it with a knife. It's so thick. That's what you're getting on that opening. I've been wearing it now on skin for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Excuse me while I... And for me now, I'm getting that incense, that really dusty incense, resinous feel to it, slight ambery touch that is sort of playing on my skin. This production here, George and I were in Sydney. I was showing him different parts of Sydney. It was my fragrance of choice. It was quite a warm day, and the whole time, because George knows his fragrances, kept saying, Bloom on you is magical. It's a beautiful fragrance whether it's cool weather, it's a beautiful fragrance if it's warm weather. I find that I get a very confident moderate, has great sillage, great push, and I'm getting 10 plus hours without a problem. I mentioned that George rebooted his fragrance line in 2018 with Pour Homme, a very masculine leading fragrance, aromatic and woody and sort of, you know, Almost you could feel the muscles popping from that particular fragrance. It was in 2021, he made a very bold move. He released Signature Rosé. For a line that was at that moment in time very masculine sort of facing, to all of a sudden release a fragrance which had a very distinct rose note, in my opinion, and I remember at the time, I thought was a very bold move. I had already been talking about on the channel that a man should wear a beautiful floral fragrance, but here George made that step forward to say, boys, you really need to be wearing a floral fragrance. Now, I remember that this created a little bit of a stir, and I know that this created a stir somewhere close to me. So my photographer at the time, a gentleman by the name of Andy, awesome young man, loved all things Zaharoff. And when Rosé came out, he's like, no, it's not for me. It's got rose in it. I don't do rose. I like more my aromatics and my masculine and my woody sort of fragrances. I remember at the time I said to him, you just bang it on. Just shush your mouth. Just spray it. Spray it and then tell me. The long story to that is he bought Rosé. To this day, he still sees Rosé as one of his favorite fragrances. So I commend George early on to already release, wait a second, smell that. To release a fragrance that is so beautifully, again, balanced between resinous ambery tones that exist here, but with a very clear and distinct rose note. If you have it in front of you, I'd love you to spray on card. This one here is a monster. If you love rose, if you love florals, then go ahead and spray on skin, but otherwise spray on card, because this one here will stay on you forever, meaning that you could wash and try to wash it off, but you will still get the scent profile coming through. I love the balance of what is happening here. You're getting a very clear rose bouquet, a sense of jamminess, but a very full-bodied rose intermingled with a very clear, almost sacred-like incense quality to it. When the fragrance was first released, it was Signature Rosé, and later on, George added the extra term of Athonite. What does Athonite mean? It's in reference to Mount Athos and the sacredness of what that location is. It's actually a Greek Orthodox monastery. One thing that they are famous for is creating their own incense. As I was researching this, I came across this particular scripture where the Lord says to Moses, take fragrant spices, gum resin, onycha, and galbanum, and pure frankincense, all in equal amounts, and make a fragrant blend of incense, the work of a perfumer. It is to be salted and pure and sacred. Grind some of it to powder and place it in front of the Ark of the Covenant, law in the tent of meetings where I will meet with you. It shall be most holy to you. Incense has been used in religion for years, and it's always deemed as a sacred note to connect to deity. The scent profile has the ability to almost lower your vibrations, to calm your mind and calm your soul. And this fragrance, with that balance of the rose and that incense, does create this sense of peace, serenity. It's highly divine. The beautiful thing about the rosé is that it can now play comfortably on a woman. My editor, a young lady, this is her favorite rose fragrance. I originally had the smaller bottle. George signed the back of it. I gave it to her as a gift because I do love this new design, and I'm going to talk a little bit more, especially with the black rose. There's something quite exquisite about them. I am a bit of a collector. I do love the way these bottles sit on my shelf, and so, well, it took its place essentially. Now I'd like you to make a comparison. If you've sprayed Bloom and if you sprayed Rosé, have a look at the two incenses and how they play with those floral notes. If you take Bloom, I'm getting that, and you've seen how long it's taken. It's probably about 30 minutes that this has been on card. I'm still in that orange blossom, slight soapiness with that delicate incense in the background. It doesn't really sort of present itself too forward. The white florals is definitely still the dominant force and the dominant scent profile here. But now take Rosé. And it almost feels like the rose is like a wine barrel. It has like a booziness to it, like a red wine, with that very distinct but delicate incense note, just again being equal parts. So none of them are fighting for dominance. Both of them are coming out together. But again, rose incense and this beautiful white floral with an incense in the background. Gorgeous. As a bloom dries down, you're going to get more of that incense. It does take a little bit longer, whereas I find that the rosé, that rose incense really pretty much where it starts is where it goes. The rose is a little bit more pronounced on the opening, and then it sort of balances itself out as it moves through the fragrance. I find that rosé has incredible potency and power. You're going to get a very high, both in projection and sillage. When you're wearing it, everybody in the office or wherever you may be will know that you are wearing rosé. And then when it comes to its longevity, 12 plus hours without a problem. I'll even say 24. As I said, once you spray on skin, it's going to be your companion pretty much for the day. Big recommendation, one that, well, it's perfect in this lineup. The next one. Now this is one that on first spray, I'm like, George, another one that you sort of like popped and just knocked it out of the park. I love honey. I love honey in fragrance. And again, if you look at this beautiful plate, it's very distinct that it is a honey leading fragrance. So this beautiful bee on the front and the honeycomb. And if you have it in front of you, I would love you to spray, because we're going to do this. This one here, I do want you to spray on skin, because we're going to compare card versus skin. Let's do card first. And it's on that very opening. What are you getting? Talk to the screen. Talk to the screen. I get a very distinct almond, nutty, slight tinge of hazelnut, but with a very boozy element to it. Almost like there is rum in the background or something with an aromatic nature to it. That's on card. I would love you to spray on skin, because the skin experience is a roller coaster ride of divineness. You're getting, again, like the card, that nutty, the rum, the cognac, or the booziness. But now it's changed. And that's how quick it goes. On card, it stays in that sort of, it prolongs that moment with the nuttiness, with the almond, with the amaretti style of sort of scent profile. But on skin, comes in, gives you that beautiful bright booziness, but then it begins to move in a whole new direction. And talk to the screen, what are you getting? When I first sprayed this, the element, and again, inception, because I saw the bee on the front and the honeycomb, but I got a very clear, unique honey. Now, honey, as some people might know, is not what you think it is. So if you buy your honey from a supermarket, the color is a very pale yellow. That might not be the real thing. Unfortunately, the honey industry, as a consumer, we just need to be more careful who we're buying from. Raw honey is the only place you want to be. Let me show you something. I'm a beekeeper. I've had my beehive for now 10 plus years. And this is my gorgeous raw honey. If you can see what that looks like. This has now been in the jar for about a year, for 12 months, and it's crystallized heavily. So if I do that, nothing's going to fall out. It's all crystallized inside. That is real raw honey. If your honey, after 12 months, and you do that and it still has this beautiful flowing effect, in fact, you're just eating a very sugary based sweet thing, because there's no actual value in that. And also you'll find that the taste is very sugary sweet thing. Whereas if you taste something like this raw honey, you're welcome to come to Melbourne. I'm happy to share some raw honey with you. But in smelling this now, you're now getting so much more complexity in this raw honey. You're getting elements of like a caramelized woody effect. It's pretty wild, actually. There's a particular element that the bees have called propolis. It has all these different sort of qualities to it. One, it's fantastic for you as a human. There's so many vitamins and enzymes and value that it gives to you. But that propolis transfers itself into the honey and gives it that caramelized, it gives it like a sweet, almost balsamic element to it. You are getting the honey, but there's also this slight animalic tinge to it. All right, I had to share all that because when I first discovered AURUM, for me, it was opening up my beehive. I remember when I first sprayed, I mean, those initial notes were, you know, like a little bit like, whoa, what is this? You know, this, you know, the nuttiness, the booziness, but then it quickly settled into what I distinguished as a waxy honeycomb, honey-like element to it. This has all been filmed in real time. It's now moved again. And what I'm getting here, even though there is no florals that I've seen sort of listed, you're getting a tinge of these floral notes coming through. And I'd love you to compare your card, which feels a little bit one-dimensional, compared to your skin, which now I'm getting the honey, the honeycomb, this floral element, all the nuttiness and those pieces have come away. There is a slight vanillic, sort of like a deep resin vanilla tone to it. And it moves again. So this is the opening. As you let it dry down even more, it does go into a much more animalic, bee-like quality to it. I always say that the beehive is not, when you open up the beehive, the scent profile that comes out of there is not just honey, is the bee. The bees themselves, as they fan and as they move around, they create their own scent profile. And that's what I find AURUM is. It's my beehive. It's all these facets that make it so beautifully unique. The sweetness of the honey, of that sugariness, but also the honeycomb, and then that animalic nature of the bee itself. I find when the fragrance opens, it does have this beautiful nutty booziness, as I mentioned. It's only there for a short time, and then it moves through to a beautiful honey amber place, finally resting in this wonderful animalic amber sweetness that is that combination between honey, the honeycomb, and also the animalic nature of the bees itself. This is, if you are a gourmand lover, this fragrance here is a unique twist on that classic gourmand, where sometimes it can be a little bit sugary and a little bit vanillic when they dry down. Here, you're getting just all that beautiful balance coming through. When it comes to its performance, fragrance is in moderate. So whenever I'm wearing it, it is confident around me, but doesn't have a huge push as opposed to these two babies here. And when it comes to its longevity, you're getting 8+ hours without a problem at all. All right, next one. This is one of my favorites in the line. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Ooh, there are no favorites, but it's one that I'm constantly reaching for. I just don't want to think too hard. I have a fairly vast collection. I've got fragrances over here, fragrances over there, fragrance over here, blah, 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 boom. And sometimes when I just want to, like, I don't want to think, and I just want to reach for something, I always find that the signature HALFETI Black Rose is the one that I just grab. It's one that no matter what is happening, whether I'm going to somewhere formal, whether I'm doing something a little more just casual, even going into the garden to do some work, I find that the Black Rose is gorgeous. Now, here's my question. I want you to spray first because I want you to experience the fragrance. And then I want you to hear me out. So, if I told you there was a place called HALFETI in Turkey, and in this place there is the only place in the world that grows a black rose, literally black. So think of a rose, it's always red. Here, it's as dark as this particular lid. And that this particular rose has a very distinct scent profile. It has a very deep rose, but think of like again, of a wine barrel where it's red and it has this deep, woody, wine-soaked element to it. True or not true? When I first got into niche perfumery, actually, let me just stop. How beautiful is that? As I was explaining that, I'm hoping you were smelling the card. How beautiful is that? When I got into niche perfumery very early on, I came across HALFETI, the Penhaligon's fragrance. And it was this story of this Turkish place called HALFETI and the rose and beep bop boop. I thought it was a cool story, but I didn't think it was real. I actually thought it was a great little marketing thing, and it was designed to, to create a vision more than create a reality. The interesting thing is that HALFETI actually exists. If you watch this production, George spoke about going to HALFETI. The actual species is called Rosa Odorata Louis XIV. And when it is cultivated in this area, because of the soil and the water that they use, it creates a black tinge to go through the actual petals themselves. If you were to take that same rose, put it in water in another location, it actually drains out the mineral that's creating this black sort of tinge on the petals, and it goes to its species. But because of this area and because of the soil, the water, it creates, one, the black rose, and two, it does give it its own personality when it comes to its scent profile. George wanted to explore this. George wanted to include something unique in his profile. If you did spray on card, can I please invite you to spray on skin? All right, this is another one, girls. You're gonna find that HALFETI Black Rose is gonna create a different scent profile where the rose is present, but now supported with these woody elements and these spicy elements, and actually creates quite a unique scent profile for a woman to wear. Boys, again, this was designed with you in mind. This now grabs those classic elements that you're familiar with, the woods, the spice, the aromatic nature, but now puts in this rose in a balanced way so it doesn't overextend itself, unlike rosé where it very much presents itself. Here, there's just this beautiful balance between these elements that you're familiar with, and then all of a sudden does a little twist on something that you might not be as comfortable with, but for a man, works. For a woman, boss lady stuff. This is now something quite unique. And from card to skin, on card, it's a bit woody and spicy. On skin, I'm getting elements of that rose coming through. I find that the fragrance, similar to rosé, it is what it is. The evolution and balance and dance is not as pronounced as I find with AURUM and also Bloom, where these two fragrances start somewhere and then move to a different location. I find that both the rose ones, where they begin and the profile that they deliver is pretty much in line with where they stay throughout the fragrance. I love, as I mentioned, that it has these wonderful pieces that, as a man, you're familiar with. Those beautiful aromatics, the slightly spiciness and the woodiness, the black pepper, there's a cypriol in there, there's cedarwood and vetiver. These are notes that as a man you go, yeah, I know this, I'm familiar with this. And then vap, that twist with that beautiful rose that has that deep floral wine-soaked element from that black rose from HALFETI. Here's another production where George and I were running around Melbourne this time. It was my fragrance of choice. The whole time, George kept saying, I can smell black rose. I love the scent profile. The sillage and projection on this is beautiful. I find that I get a very confident moderate, and then its longevity is 12 plus hours without a problem. It's one that you can take to a formal meeting, but also you can dress down and just jump into the garden. Again, it's one that I'm constantly reaching for. It's an easy wear for me. It has all the pieces that I love. I love florals in my fragrance, but I also love the masculine element to it. Soy hombre style of scent profile. I also love the intricate design of this bottle. This is probably one of the first times that I saw George coming forward with this very in-depth design to his bottles. Prior to that, they all looked very much like this, so it was lasered on to the actual bottle itself, whereas here, the detail, the Z in the middle, the actual rose itself opens up. The care that has gone into this is absolutely divine, and as a fragrance, it's absolutely magical. Last one. I wanted to include Extreme because it is a nod to the OG. One that Claude created back in 1999, which he then recreated back in 2018. I want to reach for it because this is where it all started for me. This one right here. And I do want to spray it. Give me one second. This is the signature pour-on. This is where it started for me when it comes to the journey on all things Zaharoff. This is where it rebooted when it comes to Zaharoff and his fragrance line. And I remember when I first smelled this, I was taken back, both by its instant appreciation and love, but also by this very confident, very aromatic lavender that just burst out on that opening. I do want to point out the difference of where George has started and how he's migrated. As I mentioned, the original bottles, they were just lasered. I mean, they're a beautiful, unique design. Once you see the bottle, you know it's a Zaharoff. The lid is actually plastic. There was nothing wrong with it. The lid is beautiful. It looks fantastic. However, as he has migrated through, and it's only been 4 years since I met him, he has evolved so much. He has constantly changed, added bits and pieces. The lids now are this beautiful metallic feel to it. If you look on the inside of the lid, and I always love pointing this out, there is a Zaharoff Z there. Now, why would you do that? Well, you do that because you love your brand, because you love your customer, you love to give them little surprises with things like this. The other thing that I love about this particular bottle and this particular plaque is that the actual paint that is used here, he reached out to Mercedes and sought permission to use their black pearl paint. So if you shine this in the light, you're getting this sparkle, this slight metallic sort of effect coming through. It's on the lid, it's on the plaque, and these are little touches. I mean, do you have to go to that extreme? Probably not, but it's something that, and again, in speaking with George, it's something that he's very passionate about and something that he wants to put into his brand, the level of care that goes into this. All right, let me spray. So if you haven't experienced this, I'd recommend it to you. It is very different to Extreme, but for this collection, it is a nod. So in selecting this one here, it is a nod to the OG, but I wanted now to create that little twist. And the little twist is that it has oud in it. Now, for those who are not comfortable with oud as a fragrance note, fear not. It's actually very subtle in its profile. It's there, you can discern it. You can also get like a smoky effect, but it's not very oud forward. Here, it still remains as a very aromatic, woods-based, masculine style fragrance. Ladies, this is one that I feel like it is very masculine leaning, but I'd be curious to know if this is something that might work on you. I'd love to know about that. But as a fragrance for a man, this is perfect. I find that the difference between the two is quite distinct. The OG starts off with that burst of lavender. It does go into more of a sweet aromatic woods place when it dries down. Easy to wear. Any man can pick that up and go, yep, this is one that I love. Whereas Extreme uses the same, I guess, structure, the same bones, but now the difference is the oud really pops forward on that opening. There's a black pepper spiciness, a lot more sharpness to the fragrance. And then as it begins to dry down, it does go into like a smoky woods. They're similar, but different at the same time. It was a tug of war within my own mind to either include the OG in the collection or do the Extreme. In the end, I chose the Extreme, and that's more because it's I guess it's looking to the future, and I do like this slight change of direction with those extra elements of the oud and that smoky woods in the base. When it comes to the projection, the sillage, these two, and I know that I keep talking about this one, even though it's not in the collection, I recommend every man should have this. This is something that is almost like a staple. I find that the OG has at least 10 to 12 hours without a problem. It is a lot more confident when it comes to its projection, whereas I find that the Extreme is a little bit more quieter, which is interesting because it does have the oud, but I find that it's a little bit more closer to me, and boom, there you have it. 5 fragrances. Truthfully, I would love to have spoken about more, but the passport allowed for 5, so 5 is what it is. As I mentioned, a lot of care went into, I was putting fragrances in and going, no, let's add this one, let's change that, thinking about, you know, florals for a man and also the balance for ladies if you wanted to participate in this particular event. If you do like any of these fragrances and you would like a full bottle, as I said, the actual bottles themselves are divine, they're beautiful on the shelf. You can jump on the Zaharoff website, use the code NFC10, receive a 10% discount across the different bottle sizes there. Working alongside George is a fun and adventurous experience. I like filming alongside him. I do like his creativity. I like the energy that he puts into his brand. I love that he is very much, he's always tinkering. He's always add this, change that, move this. And it's exciting to see the brand from when I first met him in 2022 to where it is right now and how this expansion, this growth that he's discovered. It's amazing. He did share with me his vision between now and 2030. He showed me essentially a fragrance wheel. He put Pour Homme in the center of that. He feels that that is the perfectly balanced fragrance for all 4 families, or the fragrance families. And then he showed me where all the other fragrances that he is developing, or the fragrances that he has launched, and where they sit. And I don't know, it was just wonderful to see this vision, this clarity that he brings to his brand, and also as a perfume lover, the excitement on my part to be part of this journey alongside him. Hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any questions for me, please let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these fragrances. I'd love to know whether you actually have the Zaharoff NFC Passport, and if I were to create another one, what fragrances would you recommend I should put into there? Thank you, everyone. We'll see you guys all on the next episode.